This episode is brought to you by TaxAct. Don't do your taxes alone. Join TaxAct's National Admin Night. Admin nights are social gatherings for getting through your to-do list. So get ready for a night of fun, finding deductions, and filing taxes with TaxAct, where you can file your federal and state return for just $49 through April 8. Let's get together and get them over with. Visit taxact.com/admin-night for details.
Busch Light is cold and smooth and waiting for you to get out there. Everyone knows that the classic taste of Busch Light is brewed for the outdoors. So before cracking open your next adventure, grab a case of Busch Light. Because nature is even cooler with Busch Light in your cooler. Head for the mountains of Busch. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2026 Anheuser-Busch Busch Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
I will not take your filthy, stolen money.
Well then, I guess you're really up shit creek.
Ow! I beg your pardon, what did you say?
I offered to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You refused to take our money.
Mm-hmm.
Then I said, I guess you're really up shit creek.
Ow!
Christ, Jake, take it easy, man.
Elwood. Oh, shit.
Christ.
Ow!
Jesus Christ.
Ah, shit.
Stop you, bitch. Hey. Jesus Christ. Oh, you fat penguin. Oh, fuck this noise, man.
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. It saddens and hurts me that the two young men whom I raised to believe in the 10 Commandments have returned to me as two thieves with filthy mouths and bad attitudes.
Hey, this is Scott Taylor from Mason Hill, and you're listening to Jay Scott at the Hooks Rocks podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Hook Rocks podcast. Hope you're doing well out there. Hope you're staying safe, staying healthy. Hope you're enjoying the spring weather. Lots of things going on across the country. We got COVID vaccinations. We got live concerts and tours starting to be announced. I hope it's not too soon to do that. But time will tell, right? I hope, fingers crossed, that at some point this year we're able to walk freely into a show and not have to worry about someone coughing on us or social distancing, but I still think that's going to be around for a bit, at least in some states. But hopefully it does keep getting better. Once again, we are part of the Pantheon Podcast Network, the network of music podcasts. And when you're listening or wherever you're listening, hit the subscribe button and hit the follow button, either one, depending on where you listen to the podcast. And also feel free to write a review too. Always like those, and always enjoy hearing your feedback and what's going on with your thoughts on the podcast. And we're here for you. We're always in Escape. We're talking music, music commentary, new bands, legacy bands, lots of new music coming out in 2021, lots of new music that's already come out in 2021. I'd like to welcome in our next guest from Bowling Green, Kentucky, a new band that has an EP out this year, already released this year. It's called Hungry High and Seeing Things. The band is Kiss Kiss Bang. And the guest is Andrew Hopper. What's going on, Andrew? How are you?
Man, I'm great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for doing this. I love the music. Been able to dive into your stuff here over the last couple weeks after your management PR team sent me your stuff, and it's been a pleasure to listen to. So I really like what's going on with you guys.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, man. We spent the whole last year just kind of locked away in the studio, recording it and just being very honest with ourselves. So this was a very direct representation straight into who we are as people, as musicians, as creators. So thank you for saying that, because that really does mean a lot to us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting time, right? And last year was definitely different for everybody. And, a lot of bands that we talk to, a lot of artists that we talk to, talk about recording music under the conditions that we experienced. And here we are, present day. Music fans are receiving the benefit of artists and musicians kind of being locked down and creating music. And I remember even talking about this in the middle of the pandemic on several shows with several guests about how we're just going to see a shitload of music in 2021 and beyond. And so far this year, we're 4 months into it, and nothing could be truer than that statement. And I foresee more music coming, and it's unbelievable, it's incredible, and it's also a great way to celebrate rock music.
Absolutely. I think that, like for us, for instance, last year, I think we had, just at the first of the year, I had upwards around, I guess, 60 or 70 shows already booked. And then, just one by one, we start to see them fall off, So, I know, obviously we did, and everybody else did too, just come to a screeching halt. So it's like, now you're kind of sitting at home. You're like, well, what else do I have to do? So, let's get in the studio and create content, because that's about the only way that just really makes sense, in the aspect of trying to reach your followers and reach your fans. You're not going to go play shows, you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, so just content, recording and maybe making videos, music videos. We do have a music video out for High Price of Peace of Mind on YouTube, and just stuff like that. Just like I said, just content. So we're really trying to make the most of our situation. I really think that's the key, is just playing with the hand that you have dealt.
We've got lots to get into with you guys, but we always start the same way every time we have a first-time guest on the Hook Rocks podcast, and that is the essence of the show. Just like every rock song has a hook that sucks you in, every rock song every rock fan has a moment, whether it's a song, an album, a band, or performance that hooked you on rock and roll. What was it for you, Andrew?
What was my moment for hooking me on rock and roll?
Yeah.
All right, man. So there was this. Now you never have heard of this little town, and that's fine. But I'm from a little town called Madisonville, Kentucky, and there was this rock band when I was, man, how old was I? I think I was 11. No, excuse me, I was 10. I had just gotten my first guitar a few months prior. Now that I think about it, there was this rock band around town, and they were called the Frantics. They were, this would have been early 2000s. And they were like, they had this punk element to them, and they was just great entertainers, great musicians. They had great songs. They were good songwriters, and that got me into, I'm struggling with playing, guitar chords at this point. So, and seeing, this band that was, early 20s. So they put on a very high energetic show. And like I said, they were great musicians. They were phenomenal musicians. So that was inspiring to me, and to the point where I was like, okay, now I knew I was kind of just naturally gifted with music. So now I knew where to channel it. You know what I'm saying? I knew how to channel it. And then from there, man, that got me into like Kiss, and then Motley Crue. And then, of course, come across Alice in Chains. I mean, truth be told, I think in our band, you really kind of got to give it to like 90s country too, because we're huge, Brooks and Dunn's fans, Alan Jackson fans, Garth Brooks. I mean, I can name that list too. You know what I'm saying? But
well, in terms of influences, and you mentioned the guitar and singing and playing guitar, where did it go? You mentioned the band The Frantics, and you mentioned Motley Crue and all those bands that were around back in the day. But where did it grow from there? What was the evolution for you?
Just for me personally, man. I grew up in church, so I was just jamming with, my whole family grew up in church. So really, we kind of was always jamming, kind of always had this youth band. And the funny thing was, it was literally my whole family. We were all cousins. So man, I played guitar, and we done that for, I guess, up until I was about 16 or 17. And then I was like, I want to play out, I want to find something. So, find something that I haven't felt yet, and that I know is kind of out there. You know what I'm saying? I know I don't have a clue about it, but I know I want to be there, and I know I want to feel it and be a part of it. And so that just really snowballed. So in my late teens and early 20s, man, I just started kind of playing around bars acoustically. Just really, not really trying to get my name out as much as trying to make, at that point in time, I was really just trying to make money. It didn't matter. I'd play, anywhere. And honestly, me and Trevor, who is the singer in our band, and when we first started, when me and him met, and we met actually at a bar, we was doing the same type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Just the acoustic solo stuff. And when we met, and we just clicked right away and started jamming, and that's what snowballed into Kiss Kiss Bang. But man, there for a while, man, me and Trevor was, playing acoustic together. And, man, we would only book shows that would feed us while we were there, because that was going to be the only time we'd eat that day. You know what I'm saying? So like, definitely been through the ringer, for music as well. So back whenever I wanted to feel and be a part of it, I didn't know what all that come with, but, you find out real quick, how bad you want it. You find out real quick how your drive is set. It's perseverance for sure.
What's the history of the band? You guys, you mentioned, the history of you and the evolution of you. Where did Kiss Kiss Bang come from?
Right. So like I said, that was me and Trevor running into each other one night in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Just kind of, just honestly, I think he walked in on a night that I was playing, and we just, like I said, linked up and started jamming. And he had already been playing in a few different bands back where he was from. So there in Bowling Green, he actually already knew a couple guys. And so me and Trevor, and then the original lineup was myself and Trevor, and then we had Malcolm Boer, who plays guitar, and Corbin Burke on drums, all from around the same area. We all lived there in Bowling Green, and we done that in 2015, in late 2015. And man, we didn't really have a clue about what we were doing. Didn't have a clue about anything. We were just hungry. We knew what we wanted, didn't know how to get there. So we just played out as much as we could, man. Played Nashville, come up to Lexington, Virginia and West Virginia, pretty much just the whole East Coast, you know what I'm saying? And the eastern side of the states. Just trying to get out there and just, but really enjoying it and having the time of our lives, And, we recorded in 2018. We actually picked up another member who is Clayton Crowder. We picked him up, and he's a great asset because, man, he's a great songwriter. He's a phenomenal musician, and he is a fabulous fucking singer. And I don't know if if you've listened to the EP, you kind of get it. We're a vocal driven band. At any given time, you're going to get smacked with a harmony or two. So there's 3-part harmonies really at any given time. And that was one of the things that we were aware of whenever he was, whenever he joined the band. So we kind of took on not really different influences, but started paying attention to our influences differently. In terms of in terms of Alice in Chains, we were kind of big, not replicators, but heavily influenced by Alice in Chains, and still are. But Alice in Chains never really had those third harmonies. And so that was something that we kind of had to look back at, like the Eagles or like Alabama for, you know what I'm saying? And in 2018, after he joined the band, we wrote an EP called Hearts on Fire, and went and recorded that in Louisville, Kentucky. Toured off of it for about a year and a half, 2 years, and that's exactly whenever COVID hit and shut everything down. And then actually, coming into present day, how the Hungry High and Seeing Things EP come about. We had kind of went through a couple different drummers. Few of them didn't pan out, and we were jamming with this cat at the time, and another situation where it didn't pan out. You're just not supposed to jam with just everybody. You know what I mean? And so what we thought that we were going into the studio, I think, another month or two. And actually, one of the guys that used to be in the band, he's like, we got studio time booked this weekend. He was like, but I'm going to step out and step away from the band. So pretty much, you guys do whatever you want is pretty much what he told us. So it was like, so what was left was me and Trevor and Crowder, which is what it is today. We were Kiss Kiss Bang, and it was one of those things where we had to look each other in the eye and, like I said, really get honest with ourselves. Do we want to play music? How bad do we want to play music? Do we want to call it Kiss Kiss Bang? What do we want it to sound like? There were so many question marks, man. All we knew was that we wanted to play music together. So we went in and instinctively in 3 days put a 4-song EP together. And I'm not kidding you. We wrote that EP in 3 days. And that wasn't a manufactured sound. That EP is not manufactured by any means. That whole EP, I think, is purely off our instinct. Just what really come natural to us, what we played, the tones we chose, the melodies we chose. It was a very, very, rough year for everybody. Everybody had their ups and downs, I think, and the mental toll it took on, not just musicians, but everybody in general was a pretty rough year for everybody. But, when we got done and now we're in 2021, we released the EP in February, and looking forward, we don't know when shows are going to come back. We don't know when the world's going to start turning again. It's trying to. The only thing that we can do is be ready for it. And we most definitely are, man. We're ready to see faces again. We're ready to see crowds again, man. I don't think we realize how big of people we are. That's weird to say. People persons we are. We're definitely entertainers, and I didn't realize how much or so, because like, I know me personally, man, I got this itch that I just got to make somebody smile and make somebody laugh, you know. And I know Trevor and Crowder feel the same way. So we are definitely ready to get back out on the road and see some people, man. We miss it.
It is a difficult time, especially for a new band, you know, creating new music. And, you know, it is, because this may sound weird to the audience, but, you know, band members know this. Like, when you're in the beginning of a band, sure, you have the promise of the songs and the creation that you're doing, but it's you may not have the lengthy investment that maybe other bands have had that have been around for several years and few years, and you know, it's much easier for a band that, you know, is starting out and creating something new to say, man, you know, I got to pay my bills, I got to do, you know, other things. And it's a challenge for a new artist to keep pushing forward during a pandemic when you can't play shows, your revenue stream is virtually cut off, and you got to do a lot of soul searching. I mean, that's, you know, that's basically what it is. You know, how bad do you want it?
Yeah, for sure. It's been, you know, I keep saying it, and I don't know that I could say it enough, man. We really had to be honest with ourselves. There was a lot that has happened, all three of us individually, this previous year that you know, would just the type of things that break people, you know what I'm saying, that absolutely crushes people. The type of stuff that people don't come back from. And through this whole year and through recording this EP, we became a tighter band because of it. But set the band aside, we became tighter brothers because of it. And it's something I didn't expect, because we were already super tight, you know. But getting to get through this year and experience everything that we have together, man. It's whatever is in the future. We are very excited about it, because one way or another, I know who I'm going to be with, and you know, we're gonna keep writing music. We're not gonna stop. You know, keep entertaining, man. If anybody hasn't got to check us out in a live show, man, I definitely recommend it whenever shows get going again, because you know, we just love having a good time, man. We love making you feel just as much of a part of it as we are. You know,
when you're going through this, I mean, there is the reality of life, you know, which we've talked about over and over again here on the podcast, which is the pandemic and how it impacts people. But you also have regular life, right? And the challenges that face people on a daily basis, and having to overcome that stuff and doing those things. And those don't stop either, right? I mean, you know, those don't, you know, life may be put on pause as we know it in terms of going out and doing things we normally do, but challenges and heartbreak and whatever you want to call it still happen. And it's manifested, or it's magnified, I should say, by the fact that it's limited to how we can react. We have to find different ways to cope and different ways to react to things that are happening, because we're basically doing the same thing every day. The fact that you guys have music to kind of use as a tool to get into a bubble, to kind of have that escape, is very unique. And not a lot of people have that have gone through that. How did you guys crawl into that bubble? And was it kind of like a safe place for you guys where you can tune out what's going on either personally or what's happening out in the world and just focus on music and focus on what you guys want to do?
As far as writing and recording music together?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So a few different things, man. We, you know, sure, that does take your mind off of it, but at the same time, what I've really, you know, my personal takeaway from this previous, you know, year in the studio, what I've really enjoyed myself is not only, you know, watching, you know, my friends and my family, you know, play play their instruments like, I know they can, but to also see them grow in other areas of music, whether it be, whether it be producing or engineering, or whether it be, picking up different types of things, even something as small as Photoshop or like video editing. And that's not small, that's big, but to seeing, it's weird. It's so weird because this is the best way that I can describe my experience. Seeing us and my brothers grow genuinely brought me so much joy that it was almost a healing process to what I was, and not just me, but I think what they was also going through as well, because we were all just kind of leveled, you know what I'm saying? Just leveled off, we're all kind of going through different things, and it was, I don't know, there was something soothing, yeah, absolutely, about all of us being together, that even though it did take your mind off of it, and we always did, talk about those things later, but just being together, man, really, I can't describe it. I really can't. I can't put into words that,
How did what was happening to you guys personally, and also with the pandemic, how did that affect the tone of the music? How did that affect the perspective of the music?
Like I said, man, like I keep saying, it really forced us to be honest with ourselves, and we went purely off instinct. We went purely off, this is what feels right. What you hear on the record might not be, this riff sounds like this. Oh, well, this is what the first thing that came to my mind. That's not necessarily the case. But what the case was is that we had an idea going in, but like, truth be told, we really just had to go do it. We had 3 days to do it, So when I keep saying instinct, because it's what it was, I think, and I think that, I think in particularly, I think High Price for Peace of Mind might be, that was probably the most instinct, the most, I guess, intuitive we've been with ourselves, maybe. Just following the kind of direction, I guess, that we felt maybe we were guided towards. I don't know, man. It was a really weird thing, because when we was writing that song, it's not like we were trying to sound like or mimic or even pay homage to anybody. You know what I'm saying?
When you're writing this music and you're recording it, right, and you guys are figuring that out in the studio for 3 days, like you mentioned, there comes a point where this product is going to be done. The music is the product, and the product is going to be finished, and it's going to be ready to go. When that happens, and you're doing this, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen with the pandemic. You don't know what life is going to be like. Did that play into when you wanted to release this music, or was it just, hey man, let's just get this out, let's get it out, and let's just start focusing on marketing it and getting it out to people and having people discover us?
Yeah, no, it totally did, because it's one of those things. It's like, well, if you release music in the pandemic, you've got to be aware that somehow or another you're going to have to promote and fund that record. And I mean, the same kind of case, man. It's, we could have released it sometime last year, but honestly, if me and you were having this conversation now, if we would have released it last year, we haven't been able to play, so it's about time for us to release something else then, because shows are on the horizon. You know what I mean? So we was really just kind of buying our time while also trying to just find ourselves, get through our situations. So, putting the release date back, actually, I think was beneficial for us, man, because there's a lot of beauty in darkness, and there was a lot of growing pains that we still had to finish up before I think we were ready to release it. I know that sounds weird, but it is what it is, man. it was a very, emotional and very, we're just very invested in it. Like I said, it is a direct view into what our souls and our hearts look like.
Well, it's almost like a timepiece for you guys, and it's kind of like a diary. It's a living, breathing diary.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next step is now to get this out and start playing it. And different states have different restrictions in place. Not everybody is equal to opening up places where people can just come in like they used to. I know here in Illinois, I think we're at 50% capacity. You still have to wear masks. You still have to social distance. When you're booking shows for this year, well, first of all, I should ask, have you booked any shows? Are you guys starting to play out?
Yeah, we it's nothing that is nothing consistent. We'll have a show here and there. Like Tennessee just raised their mandates and restrictions. So we actually do have a show in Nashville at the end of the month, April 30th at Bowie's. And but even still, man, people for the most part that I've noticed are very respectful. If some people have already been vaccinated, if there is if people are uncomfortable, around other people talking or whatever, they'll put a mask on, or there's been plenty of people that I've seen ask, that I really do. I enjoy people, being respectful. You know what I'm saying? However, people are going to do what they want, man, just plain and simple. So it's like, however you want to do it, whatever. But I appreciate the respect level that I've, me personally, have witnessed.
There is something to be said for that. There is something to be said for people to, respecting what other people are going through and what other people see and other people's points of view. And I think that does help. I think, when you get someone who on either side of it is, like for instance, I always wear a mask whenever I go out, and I was at the grocery store and they have like a coffee bar, and I got a coffee while I was there, and I was walking through the aisle, and I put my mask down for like 2 seconds just to take a sip of the coffee, and no one was around me, and I had a person come up to me and completely like berate me, and I'm like, whoa, like nobody was around me. I took it down for 2 seconds, and then you have the other people who, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. Everybody kind of knows the issues, but it is important. I think that's going to help people get more comfortable, because even when live shows come back, right, there's still the comfort of the audience that may not feel right at the time to go see a concert like they were. So even though things are happening, there's still going to be a hesitancy. There's also going to be people that are just itching to get out, that just want to go because they want to do something. They want to feel that normalcy like they did before. And, so it's going to be interesting just to see how things go. I mean, I think the challenge of, rock finding an audience, because we talk a lot about the relevancy of rock music, I think we're on our way. I mean, the resurgence is happening. I've been saying that for months. It's a celebration of music. Everybody's releasing music. It's everywhere right now. But I think the next challenge is, the live music aspect. How many people are going to come back out? How many people are going to, sit at home and still want to live stream in the comfort of their own house instead of going to see a live show? So that's all plays into it too. What are your thoughts on all that?
Man, there's a few things you can't replicate. You can't replicate the feeling of a live show. And a lot of times, man, the live stream, this is what kills me, man. Me personally, a lot of the live streams, man, unless if you're able to, have money to put in behind them, the audio is normally not very good. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunate, because live streaming is something that anybody can do. But do you always convey your point? Or do you always, represent your product in the manner that you want it to be represented. So like, you know, if you watch a video of us live stream, chances are, you know, you're definitely not going to get that same feeling. Or this is for anybody. You're not going to get that same feeling at a live show that you are, you know, sitting on your couch. You know, don't get me wrong. Live streaming has definitely like been a savior this past year, because really, what else are you going to do? You know what I mean? It's like, it's tough. I'll be honest with you though, but there's just nothing like a live show. There's nothing like. But
absolutely.
There's something to be said just about the live streaming, man. Just it has saved a lot, and it's really gotten a lot of people out there. Yeah, man. Yeah, but you was mentioning the wave of rock music coming back, man. I'm gonna have to agree with you, because I think when you starved, you know, people of entertainment for so long, you know, people are just kind of like you said, just itching to do something, itching to get out, and you've got so many like solid and great bands that are coming out, man. Like, I'm a huge fan of like Greta Van Fleet, and I'm a huge fan of Dirty Honey, and like I mean, there's some really good like, and those bands that got this like classic rock vibe to me. You know what I'm saying? So when those bands, you know, and they're getting, you know, a lot of shakes, a lot of radio play and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll spark a much bigger tidal wave of, you know, like not generic. It's more like authentic rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that is almost tangible. You can almost, like, even though it's music, you can almost grab it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think too, when you look at the psychology of a kid, right, who's had to deal with this, kids in high school, you know, who've had to deal with e-learning and stay-at-home learning or whatever people are calling it, they went into this pandemic last March, right, predominantly listening to pop music and hip-hop or rap. That was, you know, that was what was most popular. And to some extent, it is still the same, right? I mean, pop music is always going to be the most popular form of music, because that's why it's called popular music. And
yeah, absolutely.
you know, hip hop and rap, of course, a lot of teens listen to that stuff too. So they went in with that. So you're a kid and you're sitting at home and you're listening to this stuff, and you're not doing anything every day. You're doing the same thing. You're e-learning. You're not allowed to go out and see your friends, or if you do see your friends, it's limited. You got social distance. There can only be a certain number of people, so on and so forth. As you are a kid and you're experiencing this, what happens, right? You start to look for something new. You're annoyed. You're pissed off because you're 16, 17, and you can't live your life the way you want. You can't have fun. And you need something with a little bit more of an edge. And you're looking for something new. And rock and roll always thrives on angst and anger. And
I love it.
And now we're seeing that, right? All this new music, new rock music is everywhere. You mentioned Greta Van Fleet. You mentioned Dirty Honey. There's so many new bands that are coming up. And, you know, I've been talking about this. I mean, last year at this time, we were talking about, you know, how rock is going to gain relevancy, you know, with the challenge of the pandemic. Out of something bad, something good always happens. And I've been saying this since the end of last year, you know, since the fall of last year, that it's time to start celebrating rock music for what it is. And we're seeing that. All this new music is a celebration. The resurgence is here, and it's going to continue. And I think as these teens, you know, start to discover new bands and look for something new to kind of, you know, fulfill the appetite of their angst, rock and roll has always been there for that, and I think it's going to be there again.
I think you're exactly right. I think you're actually hitting the nail on the head. It's funny, man. I hadn't looked at it that way. I guess what I've noticed is I've just noticed, you know, a little bit of a resurgence in rock music, but I couldn't pinpoint it, and I didn't know why. I think you're exactly right on that. That's man. You know, rock and roll is an attitude. More so, I think, than and there's a great argument there, but I think rock and roll is more so of an attitude. But rock music, man, I think when you combine the two, I think when you combine the attitude of the authentic rock and roll attitude of, I'm doing my own thing. I'm not, I don't listen to you, and I definitely don't listen to you. And I'm my own person, man. Individuality isn't taught anymore. It's not in school anymore. You're another cog on the wheel. You know what I'm saying? So fall in line. So whenever a kid sees something and sees somebody who is that individual, who does stand out, who has that rock and roll mentality, like, man, I'm my own person. Like, I'm not going to do, I'm not going to fall in line, basically. I think that, and I know I did as well. Like, as a kid, I loved that. Like, I looked up to it. Like, I was inspired by it, so that excites me a little bit more, actually, that you saying that, you bringing that up. For sure. You're 100% right on.
Well, I just think, before our eyes, it's happening. I mean, there's never been a buzz like this. Well, there has been, I should say, but there hasn't been a buzz like this for rock music in decades, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at, I think it started last year when AC/DC released Power Up, and you saw the audience, young and old, connect with that album, right? And a lot of it had to do with the feel-good part of it, right? Everyone's sitting at home doing the same thing. Along comes the legendary AC/DC, and boom, everyone's like, this is incredible. This is a great record, and everybody's, just totally into it. I also think that the passing of Eddie Van Halen had a lot to do with it too, because you saw kids finally who a lot of people thought Van Halen was going to be this forgotten band. We talk about the Billie Eilish comment that was made 2 years ago, how she didn't even know who Eddie Van Halen was. And now, Eddie passes, and now people are, young people are hearing their music for the first time. And, what better way for a kid to get over, feeling down or feeling sad by putting a Van Halen record on, I mean, it's kind of hard to be down when you're listening to, David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen or Sammy Hagar, whatever floats your boat. But, I think that had a lot to do with it too. It was a sad moment for rock fans when he passed. But I think when you see kids now like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. How does he play that guitar like that? What is that? What's he doing? The same way I felt when I first heard his guitar. It creates that sense of wonder in a kid, like, wow, this is awesome. And then you hear the newer bands start to come out, and you hear these emerging bands like Kiss Kiss Bang coming out, and all this stuff. It's happening. It's starting to gain traction. Now, will it ever reach the heights of pop music? Probably not. It never will, and nor do we want it to. We don't want it to be mainstream music. But I think it's
not what we're about, right?
Yeah, it's becoming that force that it's meant to be. And, people have tried to redefine it over the last couple of decades. They've tried to call this rock and roll and that rock and roll, and I think, instead of trying to redefine the music, celebrate what makes rock music what it is and where it came from. And you'll find the audience through that.
100%. Man, I think there's always beauty in darkness. Always.
Yeah.
So whenever, like when, Eddie Van Halen passed away, man, kind of like you said, man, the kids are now going to go, they probably got introduced to him for the first time. So when they see him, and I forget where exactly it was, but whenever they see, they'll go to YouTube and look up Eddie Van Halen, and they see him doing his eruption solo to a crowd of, 30 or 40,000, that's, man, that's mind boggling, because most kids have probably never been introduced to a rock show that big, or to, honestly, to a rock band that big, you know what I mean? So whenever they see that, they're like, wow, that's super dope. I've got to go see something like that. Maybe that's inspiring, to them to step out and see some shows and hopefully, by the grace of God, be a part of some really, really, really big shows.
Yeah, I think that's the goal too, right? I mean, is to get younger people out to see, because like you mentioned, there's nothing greater than seeing a rock show live. There's nothing greater than that connection that a young kid feels rocking out with their fists in the air, listening to music, because it's a whole different type of thing. It's a whole different vibe. And, you know, when they're able to experience that, I mean, the show's called The Hook, right? And what hooks you in is, you know, is the song or the band or the performance or whatever. I mean, it's hard not to get hooked when you're seeing a band live and seeing them jam on stage.
You're absolutely right. Especially when they're just up there kicking ass and like it, you know, here's my thing. Like, you know, there's so many different, I love live music, bro. I love watching bands. Even if it's not my style of music, I love watching live music. I can't get enough of it. You know, I don't care if it's a fucking polka band. Like you can respect great music, good musicianship, and you can respect the fuck out of a band getting up there and really giving you what they got. You know what I'm saying? I love it so much, man. I love when a band is up on stage and being honest, and you know they're just jamming out, man. They're not trying to be something they're not. You know, they're showing you exactly who they are, man. And it's a beautiful, man. Music and live shows is such a beautiful thing. So we know we need to go ahead and get that back on the fast track.
You know, as we close here, I got to ask you. You know, you mentioned the Eagles being a huge influence in what you guys do, and you know the harmonies of the Eagles. Not too many bands can even come close to what they've accomplished and what they sound like, and their sound is so unique. And a lot of that is the harmonization of Don Henley, Glenn Frey, Donald Feldner, you know, you name it, Timothy B. Schmidt. When you cover Hotel California, you got to have a big set of balls to do that, because it's like covering Stairway to Heaven. And I got to tell you, man, it kicks ass. It's a great version. When I hit play, I was like, man, I don't know where this is going to go. All right. And as I hit play, I kind of cringed, and I really enjoyed it, man. You guys did an awesome job on it.
Thank you, man. Honestly, that was really never supposed to see the light of day. Quick story on that. The reason of why and how we done Hotel California. The guy that we recorded the Hungry High and Seeing Things EP with, his name is Matt McQueen out of Gem City Studios in Jellicoe, Tennessee. He, we had heard about him, and Crowder had actually recorded with him before, and we was like, well, let's go cut one with him, and let's see how it turns out. And then, if we like it, we'll go do, a full length with him, or an EP rather with him. And so that's kind of what that was, man. We just went in, just kind of half-hearted, and just, matter of a couple of days, just threw it down. We didn't want to change too much about it. Didn't want to change anything about it, honestly, besides the warm smell of the reefer. I mean, I had to make sure that was thrown in. But honestly, man, yeah, we didn't want to do too much to it, and it wasn't. I don't know, man. It wasn't a serious thing. It's funny that it got, that it seen the light of day. So that's really cool that people are digging it, man. Of course, some people didn't, but I mean, that's how it goes, man. Totally how it goes. But we're very thankful for the people that did, because we got an amazing response off of it as well.
As well, you should, because it's a really good version. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
And congrats on the new EP. What's next for you guys? I mean, we're 4 months in, almost at the end of 4 months here in 2021. What do you guys anticipate, for the rest of the year? And, do you also have any new music planned too as well throughout the year as well?
Yeah, man. So the only thing that we can do really is just create content and record music until we get back on the road. We actually have a studio at the house that we've worked hard on, and we're always working on. And so we do a lot of our demoing and pre-production there. So we always have new music. As far as when we're looking to do stuff, as far as, go back in and record, we're not sure, man. We got a few more ideas to promote this EP. Just some more content, a lot bigger content. So we're going to ride this out, man. what the future holds, brother, I do not know, you know. But I can say that we're looking forward to it, though.
That's awesome. Andrew, it's been a blast. Thank you very much for doing the podcast. I appreciate it.
Dude, thank you so much for having us, man. It's been a pleasure.
That's Andrew Hopper from Kiss Kiss Bang. The new EP is Hungry High and Seeing Things. It's available now. Go get it at Bandcamp. Put some money into the pocket of the band instead of streaming it where they don't get any money. And look for them live, hopefully coming soon to wherever you're at. And you can get a chance. They're a kick-ass band. They got a lot of great influences, as we mentioned here on the podcast today. So great emerging rock band that everyone should check out. I'm Jay Scott. This is the Hook Rocks podcast, part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Hit subscribe wherever you're listening. Give us a review. Continue to listen. Thank you very much. Stay strong. Stay healthy. And we will talk again soon. Thank you.